Welcome to the Divine Creatrix Circle. I'm just gonna check as usual if it's streaming. I prefer the ball checking. Yes, here it's working. And here it's working too. Amazing. So I'm gonna open the chat. Great. I can't wait to jump into this subject. Hi for the people joining. Let me know where you're coming from and if you're ready to get into this Divine Creatrix Circle. I got the idea of the theme yesterday. As usual, I let it come, I let it flow. And I was reflecting the last few days about the growth I've had this week, because many things happened this week, crazy things. And I don't know, I was just in full awe and gratefulness for the past year and all the steps that brought me right here, right now. So today we're talking about the inevitable, unavoidable sacrifices in order to step in your next best self. When you go and merge into the reality of your next best self, in order to do that and manifest that, there's some things you must let go, some sacrifices you must do. Is inevitable. So hi for the people joining. Again, let me know where you're coming from and don't mind the barks. There's people talking outside and my dog doesn't like it. Just opening the space. So happy to see you here. Let me know in the chat if you're ready to know the sacrifices that maybe you think are gonna go by themselves, or the things you think that one day they will be different, but in reality is a sacrifice, a choice you must make and choose to let that go in order to be able to step into your next best self. So right before we jump into that, I invite you to just come back here right now into your body in the present moment, and you can close your eyes if it helps. And let's take 3 deep breaths together. And let it all out. And when you inhale, fill your belly with air, your chest, and then exhale. And the last one, calling back all the parts of us to come right here, right now. And exhale. I like to do that because we often don't realize how often we scatter ourselves everywhere, in the future, in the past, in the worries, in the overwhelm, in the anxiousness. And so realizing that maybe you're not fully here is the first step to actually come back here fully. And I realized that earlier. I went to a yoga class and I had to come back home afterwards and shower and get ready for the live. And I didn't want to be rushed. So I was rushing myself because I didn't want to be rushed or be late. I was rushing myself. And I was like, wait a minute. Why am I putting all the pressure on me? Why am I pushing myself and stressing myself for that? If I'm right here, right now, everything's going to be flowy. Everything's going to go as planned and everything's going to be aligned. So that's my invitation for you today and every day, to be aware of that so you can catch yourself and come back. So let's get into the juicy details, what I realized this week. So for a backstory, so it's easier for you to really comprehend and grasp what is in this life today. If you've been following me, you know by now that 2022 was the year I experienced depression for the first time in my life. And the thing was weird is that my life has never been so great, and especially at that moment, it was the beginning of everything flowing, manifesting, and I started feeling depressed. And so for a while, I would say it lasted maybe 6 to 8 months. I was really lethargic. I had no energy, brain fog, no inertia of anything inside of me. And the first months, it was really a battle against myself. I wanted to be somewhere else. I wanted to come back to my old self, full of energy. I wanted to be back again. I wanted to be able to do all the things because I felt I was missing out. I had built my platforms. I had a big following now, and so I wanted to keep it up. I wanted to finally start being my full self. Not that I had manifested the community, the space that I wanted for so long. And at one point, I kind of walked my own talk and realized that I cannot really escape the present moment because the present moment is all there is. And in this present moment exist all the bridges, all the portals for me to quantum leap into my next best self. And so I had to sacrifice the discomfort of what was in the now. And that is one of the first sacrifices that is unavoidable, inevitable for you to step into your next best self. Often we don't like what's here, and so we go about trying to escape the present moment in order to be somewhere else that is better, more fluid, easier, more abundant, more creative, more confident, whatever it is. We escape this moment right here, right now, because we don't want to experience that. We want to be somewhere else. And the reality is that like attracts like. And so the more you get in that desperate energy, frantic energy, overwhelmed energy of not being happy where you are, then you just continue to fuel more of that. And so the moment I finally surrendered, I had to feel all the feels. And the thing that was weird and that got me to understand so much deeper my own energy, my own consciousness, my own being. So today I'm really grateful for the experience, even though it was really uncomfortable. Hi for the people joining. Let me know in the chat where you're joining from. YouTube, Facebook group, or wherever in the world you're joining. So yeah, now I'm really grateful for that experience because I actually got to experience something I didn't know before. My quantum leap in spirituality, personal development really was through hypnosis. It was the first time that I actually understood the depths and the magnificence of the human intelligence, our consciousness, all the spiritual beings being in a human experience. And it was really through the mindset. And so for a long time, and I always consider myself as a really optimistic person, and I was really positive. I've experienced a lot of chaotic moments in my life, a lot of trauma, a lot of things where most of my friends when I was going through those things were like, "Why are you experiencing all of that at the same time?" And like they would feel bad for me, and I would continue my life and go on about it and feel great, great. I would surpass anything that was in the moment. So I built a lot of resilience. And so for the moment in my life that I actually felt depressed, I was like, what is this? Why now? Like now everything's perfect. I don't have any chaos, any trauma going on. I'm in a healthy relationship. I'm being paid for being me. My life is great. What is happening? So the moment I surrendered to that, I actually realized that it was not about the mindset anymore, and it had nothing to do with my mindset. And I want to be really clear. We all experience suffering and pain, and we can choose to heal it or we can choose to fuel it. And so we can attach to the stories of that pain and reinforce it again and again and again. or we can see that pain as something here to be transmuted and choose consciously to take responsibility for that and embody what it takes to heal that, to get your resources to heal that. And for me, since I didn't have any answers, I was like, what is going on? I don't understand. Like, I'm not telling myself bad things in my head. I'm pretty aware of my mindset, of how I talk to myself, and there's no story linked to this feeling. I cannot explain it. And luckily I had pretty big knowledge on energy, because I experienced a lot of quantum leaps in that sense the past months before that, which is not a coincidence. I opened my psychic gifts. I started feeling things, hurting things, receiving things, and it was really, really special to be in that place. And I went all the way up and then all the way down, which is not a coincidence either. And through that surrendering, I actually got to receive the wisdom. The first 2 months, I was just battling against myself. Why me? Why this? Why can I be somewhere else? Why do I feel like this? Why can't I feel like I was feeling before at my highest of all times? Why? And I couldn't see anything because I was attached to the story. I was attached to trying to rationalize, trying to explain it so I could make sense of it. But quantum leaping your life and becoming your best self, often and more often than not, it doesn't make sense. It's not rational. Because when we get into this realm of more and so much more than what we were taught, magic, it doesn't make sense to the rational mind. Magic doesn't make sense to the 3D realm. You know, most people that believe in magic are often set aside in society and pictured as crazy, as the new delusional. But that's the thing, is that the moment you want to step into your next best self, you must be willing to sacrifice the stories of your ego that keep you in a limited space, that keep perpetuating what you're trying to escape. And so the first sacrifice of it all, is to go through it. The only way out is through. And so it comes back to what I said at the beginning. How can you come back here again and again and again? Every time it's uncomfortable here, you try and go somewhere else. In the future, trying to picture something else or something worse than what it is right now. Or when you go in the past and like feel like you were best in the past, or all the bad things in the past, all those things, how can you come back right here, right now, and acknowledge what is? Because you cannot manifest something that is not. You can only manifest what is. And the what is what is here right now for you. It's not a coincidence. It's not a punishment. It's not a glitch. It's here for you to find the steps, to find the portal, to find the doors, to find the key, so you get to the next best level of your life. You won't find it if you're trying to escape here, because it's all right here. And so when I was thinking about that this week, what I experienced this week, the magic I experienced this week, is I felt a shift inside of me, and I felt like it was happening. Like, I've been sensing that I was about to experience a quantum leap in my life. I started feeling it like maybe a month ago, and I felt like I had to open spaces to create that. I had something to bring, and that's when I started the Divine Creatrix Circle, because it was calling me. It was calling me to create spaces where people can remember. Just want to see here. Okay, sorry. that I was not receiving the the chats here. So people can actually experience that for themselves, that we all divine creatrixes and that we have the power to create literally whatever we want. And so I started this. I came back on YouTube because I felt a call too. I was like, there's something big that's gonna happen. I'm moving the energy. And this week, everything was like flowing. Like, I don't understand what happened, but in a matter of like 1 day to 2 days, all my content started blowing up. Every piece of content I was putting out would go viral or get thousands of views, where I had like a few months of like the algorithm slowing down and having not as much reach as I had before. Then I had the divine alignment masterclass, and the energy there was just like so much confirmation for me. And it's easy to explain that as achievements and results in the external world. But the real thing is that it was my ability to allow myself to stay connected to that vision, to that feeling. Even though I couldn't fully explain it of how, when, but I felt that sense of like, oh, I'm ready to expand. Something is calling me. I don't know exactly what or how it's gonna look like or what form it's gonna take or how is my life going to quantum leap. I have a sense of it. And I just stay connected to it and envision that and just feel where I'm being called. And when I look back to the 2022, where I was feeling depressed and wanting to be here where I am right now, I realized that it wouldn't be possible for me to experience the quantum leap that is happening right here, right now, and the experiences I'm experiencing now, if it wasn't for me to let go of all of that energetic chaos, dense energy that I was carrying on. I see now, at the moment, I couldn't understand, I couldn't make sense of it because there was nothing bad in my life that could trigger that feeling or that depression. Nothing. And now I can see, looking back, that I had carried that all my life. For most of my life, I was like the hyper independent. I'm good. I need no help. Everything is fine. I'm fine. I don't care. Like, it was my mechanism of like chaos going on, trauma happening, lots of things happening, and being like, I got this. It's okay. I don't need help. I can do this. And it was a good mechanism in itself because it helped me be where I am today and have the resilience that I have today. But at an emotional level and an energetic level, I never truly dealt with the intensity of what happened in my life. And so I was carrying that. I was carrying that energy in my field, in my body, in my energetic body, in my emotional body, in my mental body. And I would say that I did a lot of work in terms of embodiment, emotion release, and mental rewiring through the years. But the biggest realization is that it was the perfect time for me to experience that, because being depressed was not putting me in threat. It wasn't a threat. It was not a threat for me to be depressed in that stage of my life. I had a boyfriend that I have a boyfriend. I still with him today. I have a boyfriend that could take care of me, that would support me emotionally, that would understand me, that would care for me. In the past, I didn't have that. My emotions were not welcome in the container of my relationships because my emotions, especially sadness, hurt, feeling disrespected, undervalued, was my problem. I was overreacting, I was being dramatic, like all the things that the toxic masculine will reflect back to you because he doesn't want to take care of his own energy and emotions. And I'm sure many of you have experienced that, because this is it. This is the biggest problem of society, the disconnection with the feminine energy or emotion or body. And so in the past, I would have felt like this in my past relationship. I for sure would have been told every day, and meant I would felt bad to feel like this every day. So on top of feeling that with no explanation, there would be someone living with me that would make me feel bad about that. How traumatic would that be? So now I was in a place where I could experience all of it and have no threat of survival. I was good. And so it was not a punishment. It was actually an acknowledgement of how far I've come, so I can feel that fully, be in that state fully, release that fully, and still thrive. And I'm telling you this story because I want to inspire you to open your awareness objectively and see what is the gift in that shadow, what is the gift in that chaotic place in your life, and what's happening right now that maybe you cannot explain with clear words or a clear story, and that doesn't make sense. But how can you still open to see the inevitable of it? And so the sacrifice of letting go of the stories, letting go of the limited self perspective, is inevitable for you to start to see the divine timing, the divine plan of it all, the divine alignment of it all, the blessing in disguise. So one, you have the sacrifice of trying to escape the undesired reality, and two, the sacrifice that is inevitable for you to step into your next best self is to let go of the stories. Let go of the stories, the perspective of the limited self that feel victim, that feel like a victim. Because as long as you feel victim of your circumstances, you will never have the perspective to actually acknowledge your power and realize that everything is happening for you, not to you. And through that reframe, you start seeing a lot of things. And you start realizing that you're never alone, that you're always supported, and that life is not against you. It's actually rooting for you and giving you all the experiences, all the circumstances, all the situations, all the people to trigger your expansion. And I say trigger because that's how it feels for us. But not trigger in a sense of negative thing. It's just the thing that is going to help you expand. The energetic push that is going to help you burst out of your bubble. Just the perfect amount of pressure so the bubble starts to feel uncomfortable and you realize it's time to move forward, expand, grow, and become actually who you're meant to be. And finally, I kind of said it in between. The third inevitable on that is you cannot avoid in order to step into your next best self is being misunderstood and maybe being mislabeled by other people, being seen as delusional. It's inevitable. If you're choosing to believe in magic, and if you're choosing to actually choose what is best for you, that is not being sold in this reality, or really little. Let me tell my dog one second. Okay, great. So the real common sense is that's the crazy thing, is that the real common sense is actually believing in magic. When you don't believe in magic, you're not thinking rationally. And let me explain. Have you ever realized how you have been made? Just the act of creating a human, and I've said this and I like to say this because it blows my mind every time. Like two fluids that come together and then we become flesh and become a living being. That's crazy. Let me drop that in the chat if you feel like it's crazy and it hits you and blows your minds. Let me know in in the comments if that blows your mind, because it blows my mind when I think about, oh, I came out of nothing. You came out of nothing. And now we are human beings living here and experiencing a full ton of experiences and actually remembering who we are because of that thing that happened. And that made that possible. Like, it's crazy. So to say that that makes sense is an understatement, because it doesn't. Like, it doesn't make sense. We understand the science of it and everything, but if we look at it more objectively, it's like crazy. The fact that someone creates life inside of a body, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy. I cannot imagine that in the future I'm gonna create a human inside of me and I'm gonna birth a human. Like, as much as I know, because that's how it is in this reality, it's crazy. And it's gonna be a soul that's gonna choose that body and come to Earth. So that whole thing is crazy. And so life is a chain of unexplainable events that cannot be understood, or that often don't exist in the plane where we can see that. It happens in the background, in the energetic realm, and then it's made manifest. So not believing in magic is literally choosing to not believe in the reality you're existing. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And so when you start actually connecting to the level of beauty and the level of magic that is available to you in every second, then you start relating to life really differently than most people. You start seeing things that most people don't see. You start feeling things that most people don't feel. You start wanting things that most people don't want. And you start doing things that most people are not willing to do. And because of that, and because you're not blending in and fitting in with the whole, then the whole think you are not sane. That there's something wrong with you from not wanting to fit and be like everyone else. And because they cannot comprehend what you see and cannot comprehend what you feel and what you're creating, it's easier for the people who doesn't understand to make you feel like you are the problem or you are crazy. Because let's be real, you choosing to make those massive moves and creating magic in your life is just reflecting them where they are not free. It's just reflecting them where they're playing small and how they're limiting themselves. And for some people, that is too much to handle. They don't want to see the truth. Because if they see the truth, they realize that their whole life is based on lies. And that's scary. And you have to be okay with that. So a sacrifice you must do to step into your next best reality and become your next best self is to be okay to not be understood, to be okay to be seen, to be perceived as delusional, as crazy. But your result will speak for themselves. Energy doesn't lie. Energy doesn't lie. And so maybe they will tell you things about yourself and how you should be more realistic and how much you don't make sense. But as long as you believe in you, and long as you believe in your power, and as long as you believe in your own visions that were made for you, that you receive, that the divine give you your own callings, and you listen to it and you answer the calls, then it is inevitable for the things to manifest, because energy doesn't lie. And the crazy thing about that is that afterwards, then you inspire people because they realize that they were wrong. And not in a sense that some people have to be right and some wrong, but it helped them realize that maybe they don't see the whole thing, that maybe they are still unaware of some things. And from that point on, then you open the door for other people to actually realize that they have the power to do that too. And it's okay to be not understood. If I could give you an example, when I started my coaching business, the reason I started my coaching business is because during my first corporate job, the company I was working for went in bankruptcy. Can you speak of how to detach of people, please? Of course, I can talk about this after because I'm done with the three things I wanted to talk about. So if you have any questions, drop them here so I can let you know. But I'll go in that, how to stop and detach from the people pleasing, and that will be a good example. So my first corporate job, I was striving, best job. We could bring our dogs to the office, so sometimes we would have like 8 dogs. It was so much fun. And then the company, it was a startup, did a bankruptcy, so I had no job anymore. And the moment I was looking for a job, I actually realized that what I wanted to do is this. And so I took a leap of faith and I put all my money into getting a certification in hypnosis, life coaching, all of that, NLP. And afterwards, I worked for a job. At one point, I had to come to terms that I needed a job to be able to do that perfectly. So I was really not pleased about that because I didn't want to go back to a job. I knew that it was like I would see my friends work at other corporate jobs, being like drained, being overworked, and being like really taken advantage of in terms of salary, time. And in my other job, it was not like that. So I was like, I cannot have experienced this and then go to that. And I was like, oh my God. But then one day, one of my friends from that workplace told me they were looking for someone like for 3 days a week. And it was a better pay than in my previous job. And I was like, yeah, why not? Why not? I'll do it. I'm looking for something and I didn't want to do full time because I want to build my business and work, be able to have time, not overwork myself. So that was perfect. I went through it even though I was not fully happy with it. And crazy thing is that 2 weeks after COVID happened, the pandemic happened, and then I was laid off again because of COVID. It was like I was working in admin and it was like all bars and clubs. And so that was the first thing that closed at the beginning of COVID. So there was no more work for that. And so I was laid off. And because I was laid off, I was able to get, like, I don't know how to call it in other states, but the government would help the people that were laid off because of COVID. But I told you, I worked for 2 weeks. I think I did like 4 shifts, 5 shifts. And because of that job, I was available. I was like a good candidate to receive that help. So it helped me to actually be paid and build my business in the hopes that maybe I could have that job back in part-time, but now it was a better scenario that I ever expected. And so I could not go on that forever. So I knew I had to make the moves to actually transition from that to be able to live from my own career. And my mom would pressure me, like, when are you going to find a job? Where are you going to find a job? When do you think? And I was like, I'm good. I know something's gonna happen. I would feel like I was feeling inside of me, just like I'm feeling right now that there's a quantum shift that's gonna happen. We will talk about it in a few months and you'll see. Because when you are here right now, you'll know it. You don't have to believe anything else than that, because you know inside your heart that is true. And so I knew that something would happen that would allow me to not have to find a new job. And my mom would continue to tell me, you have to be realistic sometimes, the usual parent story. And I was like, no, I'm telling you, I'm not doing that. I'm not settling for that. I know. And I continued to believe in my vision. And I don't remember exactly, but like 3-4 months afterwards, or less than that, I actually received a contract to create content on spirituality, personal development, and I was paid to do that. I was also growing my clients and everything, but now I had something stable in order for me to not stress if there was a period of like less clients, because I was starting out. And everything worked out perfectly, and I am here right now. And all is good. And I was certain of myself. I was willing to be delusional in front of my mom, in front of other people that were like, yeah, but what are you going to do? I was like, I'm fine. I'm good. And it's a fine line. You can be delusional and be out of touch with reality and with yourself, but you can be delusional in the sense that you believe in yourself so much because you know inside you're in touch with yourself. You're in touch with the divine. So you have all the information you need to make a conscious decision. You're not trying to escape your undesirable reality, the present reality, and making a choice out of touch with everything just because you don't want to experience discomfort. That's not what I'm saying. Because I didn't want to go to that job, but I knew I had to. There was something that was like, it's the perfect conditions, it's right for you, go ahead, go. Even though I didn't want to in my heart. But I felt like it was like a thing that would be temporary, and I was willing to make that sacrifice for my greater vision. And the truth is that the universe will always hand you the opportunities to make that happen. The only have to do is believe in yourself. And to do that, you must be willing to sacrifice what other people believe about you or think about you. Because that's not important. That is not. That is not. And to finish, how to detach from people please. One, understanding that people pleasing is nothing but self-hatred. Literally. It's nothing less than that. Because you're choosing to give your power away to someone, to an institution, to a company, to a culture, to a society, in order to gain validation from the outside. And that's a big sacrifice you must do in order to be able to step into your next best self. When I realized that, I was like, oh my God, I was so all my life, I was trying to be the perfect girl, the perfect student, the perfect employee, doing everything to be perfect so people will appreciate me. so people will like me. Because imagine if people don't like me, oh my God, what would I say? What would that say about me? Nothing. I realized I was blocking myself so much by trying to please everyone else around me but me. I was willing to let other people walk all over me in order to be appreciated and loved. But appreciated and loved by who? By what type of people? Who's the type of people that demand of you to not have limits, to compromise yourself in order for them to now appreciate you? And that's the biggest realization. What do you have to people please? And often it's because of the fear of rejection, the fear of judgment, the fear of not being liked back or appreciated. And so you're willing to compromise yourself for the other person in order for them to like you back or appreciate you back. But the truth is that this is just a delusion. Whatever the relationship is based on, you trying to people please for that person, for that relationship, for that job, whatever it is. If for that to be real, for that to happen, and for you to feel appreciated, people pleasing is needed, then you're creating a relationship, a dynamic based on illusions. Because you're not being you're not expressing what you actually feel, and maybe you're not even aware of how you actually feel because you're so used to letting other people walk all over you. And that was me. That was me. Like, I had no idea that to actually be fully authentic and magnetic in my energy was to actually realize that I had to put boundaries. Because if I don't respect myself, who is going to respect myself? And so if people respect me or like me because I disrespect myself, I don't want to do anything with those people. Today, like, it's like, no, thank you. That's not what I want. If for you to like me back, I have to play a game and be cute and be kind all the time, and I have to cannot express myself because it's gonna be an inconvenience for you. I don't want it. And that maybe sounds harsh in some situations, but you have to know your worth. You have to know your value, and the illusion of thinking that they will like you more because you don't express who you are is what is keeping you trapped in a reality that you don't want. What if married? Is that the same thing when I change behaviors to make my wife happy? Not necessarily, because if it's you wanting to please your wife, but in a sense that, like, you have so much love and you want to make her feel happy, feel loved, feel appreciated, and it comes from you wanting to express your love, then it's not people pleasing. It's just you praising and recognizing the beauty of your wife, the gift that she's offering you, the love that she gives you. It's just you recognizing that power, that magnetism, that beauty. And of course, we often do that, people please unconsciously, not because necessarily the other person or the relationship is asking us to, but because we've been programmed in a society that make us chase our value and worth outside of ourselves. So I still people please sometimes in my relationship, and same thing for my boyfriend, but it's not because he's wanting me to people please in order to love me, but because I'm used to do that, and I'm like, what if like I do something wrong, so I'm gonna act differently, because what if? But that's my own insecurity. So that's important to know as well. Not everyone is asking us to people please, but if you realize that the only way the relationship or the dynamic works is because you people please, then you know for sure that is not for you. when you start expressing yourself and actually being like, you know what, I feel disrespected when that happens, and then there's a problem because you express that. So that means that you have to not say how you feel and make sure that the other person feel comfortable for the relationship to work. Then that's not the same thing as you wanting to give your love and make your wife happy. I hope that that's clear. Let me know if that makes sense and that answers your question. And same thing for Aser. I don't know if I'm saying your name right, but if that helps to detach. The fastest way is to break the illusion, to detach from that. And in your head, from the limited self perspective, you think you're gaining love, acceptance from doing that. But at a soul level, you know that you're limiting yourself and oppressing yourself from trying to seek validation, love outside of yourself. But when you love yourself so much, when you praise yourself so much, when you know your own value and worth, you will just be authentic. Because why would you want people to love you for something that you're not? You will finally experience love in relationships when you love yourself enough to be yourself. If not, there will always be something missing because you will try everything. You will try to explain to the other person, change the other person, so you finally feel like they see you, but they will never see you because you don't even see yourself. The moment you see yourself and start acting in accordance with that next best version of you that you know you can't wait to meet because you know in your heart all that is possible for you and that you're made to have it all, then you start creating and giving that energy to that version of you. So you love yourself right now and you love that next version of you and you love your past self for bringing you here and helping you be who you are today. Amazing. Glad that helped. So that concludes today Divine Creatrix Live. I'm so happy to see men. In my Facebook group is only women, but I love having those conversations with the opposite sex so we can start breaking the illusions that we were conditioned to believe in terms of masculine, feminine. That is the biggest power of the Divine Creatrix, is understanding that we all have masculine energy, we all have feminine energy, and that our relationship are just a reflection of our own energetic communication between our masculine and feminine. That could be a topic for the next live. If you want me to talk about that, let me know. I love the whole topic on people pleasing, so thank you. Great! I'm so great that you loved it. I could also do a whole live about that because I've been through it. I had to face my people pleasing in all ways, and so I did a lot of shadow work. Had to go a lot of emotions to break free of that, and so I would definitely have a lot to say about that. So stay tuned for the next ones. As usual, every Monday, 11 a.m. EST, in the Facebook group, the Divine Creatrix Community, and on my page page channel, YouTube channel. Feminine energy is what I like. That's why I'm here. Amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, of course, even women like feminine energy because even more for men because you've been conditioned to believe that emotions make you weak, make you less of a man. And for us, we've been conditioned to believe that if we have emotion and emotions and express our own magnetism, then we are too much. So it's like, where do we go? The whole chaos. But the truth lies in coming back into our feminine energy, men and women, or not coming back into it necessarily. For women to, if we have a feminine core, to come back to that core so we can actually give a radiance or gift to the world. That is our feminine energy. And for men, is to actually be able to sit deeper into your power as a masculine, as a guardian, as a protector, because you're in touch with your emotions. And so yeah, that's a key. That's with the main wound of the humanity is disconnecting from emotions, the body, the feminine energy. So I'll definitely talk about that in the next live. Thank you for the ideas. So I hope you have a magical day and stay tuned because a lot of things are happening. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, I would highly recommend if you want to hear more about those things, or TikTok, because I do TikToks about spirituality, manifestation. You can find all the links on my YouTube channel or my Instagram, which is Lena Maria underscore. No, Lena Maria G underscore. You can see it on the screen. My name here. That's my handle. And you can find all the Instagrams, and I do daily stories on how to go deeper into those subjects and the offers that are opening as well. So yeah, stay tuned, and I can't wait to see you next week. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your energy. I'm so glad that the divine brought you here and you got to experience this.